Okay, good morning, guys. For those that don't know me, I'm Mark Smith. I work for Red Submarine as their head of QHSE and business improvement. And this morning I thought, rather than kill you all with a PowerPoint presentation with loads and loads of slides, it's a good opportunity for me to run through what we've done, or what IJUBOA has done with the code of practice, the self-assessment and the external verification audit tool. So has everybody seen the documents that Carly and Sophie sent out? Or should I say, has anybody not seen them that were sent out? Because they're the documents I'm going to be referring to within this presentation. No, so that's all good. So basically, the first document I want to discuss is the Code of Practice, Self-Assessment and Audit Procedure. So what that does, that covers the requirements of the IJUBOA Code of Practice, but takes it a little step further by breaking it down into the sections or the criteria that we'd like all of the IJUBOA member companies to achieve. The standard we've put in the Code of Practice is in line with probably your ISO management systems, the reams and reams of prequals that we all have to endure, and also elements of the ISM standard. But I've taken out quite a lot of the ISM code, because the majority of us sat around here don't have self-propelled jack-up barges over 550 tonne. The majority of us are using dumb barges that have to be towed, and all of those companies with jack-up barges self-propelled over 550 tonnes would need to be accredited to the ISM code anyway to operate, full stop. So we didn't see the urgent requirement to sort of double whammy all member companies going through all that side of it. So what I'll do shortly is share the file structure that we use. I mean, the self-assessment is something that member companies will fill in on joining, and with the new documents, we urge companies to carry out a self-assessment internally. They don't need to disclose that to anyone, but that's more of a sanity check on your own systems, pretty much like you would do on your management systems. But that's a sanity check, so you can see if anything's slipping or if you've improved in any way. And the next step of the self-assessment, when you're happy, you've answered the questionnaire and you've covered all the elements and you think you're scoring quite highly, there's an opportunity there to approach IJUBOA to get an external verification auditor sort of come in, or do it remotely, and he will go through the answers you've given, review your supporting evidence and chat to yourself or your teams, and then he will either say, yes, we agree with this code, the self-assessment, and we award silver status or gold status, or he might find observations, or we might give opportunities for improvement. So we done ours as a trial earlier this year. I believe it was April, so wasn't it, the self-assessment? And the feedback from the auditor originally, before we come and done the audit, was it was going to be a 3-day audit and it was going to cost quite a lot of money. So I worked with a guy called Sujit from DNV, who's one of their sort of top marine surveyors and auditors, and said that the best way to get this down to 1 day, because one, we're all busy people with busy lives, is to submit everything to the auditor a couple of days ahead, so he's got all the information. And the key to that is the filing structure, where you put your supporting evidence. I mean, if I just, in fact, can you share the questionnaire, please, Soph? And you'll see what I mean. And then what I'll do is I'll share my screen with the actual filing system we used to present to the auditor. And we got praised on that. And he said if all companies could do that, the whole audit would take less than a day. Okay, so you can see that the question is broken down into, sorry, the question set is broken down into different headers, things like QHSE policies and emergency response, plan preventive maintenance. It goes through lots, and I found the best way to submit your supporting evidence with your questionnaire to the external auditor is to do a filing system in accordance with them numbers. So section 1.1, for example, and all the questions that follow on from it are in one folder. So when the auditor is looking at your answers on your self-assessment, he's got the numbers that tie in with the folder numbers. So what I mean by that is you've spent hours doing a self-assessment. You've probably spent even longer hunting down the documents that relate to that to back up your answers. The last thing you want to do is have an external auditor come in on £1,000, £2,000 a day, whatever the cost is, going through it and saying he's run out of time on the first day and you need a second day. So just for my information, how many people have completed the self-assessment since this was sent out to all the companies?
I think there's a few members working their way through it at the moment, Mark, from what we can gather.
I suppose now would be a good time to get feedback from people. Has anybody got any concerns or any worries or any suggestions on the current format?
Well, for me, it's not clear. You explained briefly in the beginning, but for the companies who have an ISM and a document of compliance, is there still a requirement to do this? Because actually, what I have to do is translate my complete ISM to match these questions. But basically, I have a DOC. I have an approved safety management system by flag and by class because we have propelled vessels.
Okay, so there's no need to change your management systems because realistically, if you've got all of this in place anyway, there's no need to translate it. Just to fill in the questionnaire and you refer to the document and the section within your documents you maintain for your ISM that complies with each one of these, and that's what we're going.
It's not that you can get the IJUBOA accreditation just based upon the fact that you have your DOC, because basically we already audited every year by the flag.
Okay, so but this is a separate one. I mean, it'd be great if we could all give our ISOs in to IJUBOA and our ISM codes and say, there you go, you're a gold member straight away. And this is digging into the layers on what you actually do, because you couldn't send your management system for your ISM code to an external auditor and he wouldn't go through this question set. It's down to the member companies to go through this question set to show how they comply with the IJUBOA code of practice. But as far as your existing management systems go, there's no requirement to change them whatsoever. Only refer to them in this question set and then give the supporting evidence.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, but it still feels a little bit like double work. But okay, I understand from where IJUBOA comes. But for a company who already has self-propelled vessels that are compliant with the ISM code, it's a little bit double work because I now have to just match these sections with the system I already have in place and then prove that I'm compliant with something that I'm quite confident we are, since we have a DOC from our flag state.
So the questionnaire would never change for you guys then. You'd fill in the questionnaire, the self-assessment once, you'd put it in for external verification and you'd cross-reference your documents for accreditations you hold. So, I mean, I don't know about the other companies, but we maintain probably about 6 or 7 accreditations supplied by platforms, and for the QHSE team, it's a complete nightmare. You repetition all the way across. Although they say there's single accreditation standards, there's not many of our clients subscribe to them. So we find ourselves duplicating everything we do time and time again. And the way we do that is as I've just explained there, cross-reference the documents you have in place for your core management systems. And any other comments from anyone, how they found it? Any problems, any struggles?
Just maybe one feedback from us, Peter from Veritas Marine. I mean, we've taken the table and put it into a single Excel sheet, which helps us manage it. We found that much easier to use. Obviously, you can add columns for internal referencing. So, I mean, I would say and for doing the sums, for instance. So, just on a practical point of view, having it in Excel makes it a lot simpler to use than as a Word table. It's a little clunky in Word. That's probably one point of feedback from use.
No, that's a good idea. I mean, and you could present that Excel document if that works for you to the auditor, and he'd work his way through that, providing everything you've put down. And this was key with DMV. I mean, guys that have worked with DMV before, you can't just give them an answer. You need to show them traceability on that, and that's what the audit is looking for. And I'll talk a little bit about the folder structure when I've sort of closed out all comments on this. But you can use it in whatever format you want, as long as them numbers tie in with the questions that are on there and your folder structure matches, because the score sheet, if you like, that DMV have mirrors exactly what you've got in front of you there to keep it sort of unified. So any format, what works for you, which is easy for you guys to manage, it makes sense to do it in the easiest way possible for you. So I'm just going to dig out our folder structure.
I think it's probably also worth saying that the external audit, it's not something that we're asking our members to do annually. It's once every 5 years. So it's yeah, although it is a lot of questions and a lot of work to pull all of this together, yeah, it's not something that we're expecting you to do annually. Obviously, the self-assessment tool is something that you can keep in the background and continually update to show the continuous improvement. But yeah, it is something that we would want every 5 years.
I mean, what I'm going to do with the annual one, I mean, there doesn't have to be any fixed date. I mean, I'll round it up. All of my main audits are usually around the April time. So all I'll do is I'll dig out my last self-assessment, rattle through it, and see if we've improved or worsened on any of them and score accordingly, and just file that away. It's I don't think there's a requirement to send into IJUBOA either, is there? So the
On
annual
membership renewals, we'd probably check in and just see if the member companies are continuing with the self-assessment tool, just to demonstrate continuous improvement. But yeah, the external one is every 5 years, so that's when we would ask for it to be recompleted.
I mean, I see it as another audit, another annual audit, which initially, for me, I'll be honest, it took me probably the best part of about 10 days to put all the information together, to answer all the questions, and to get the other members of the team within the company involved. But once that's done, I've got my notes on who's involved, who's responsible within the company for each section, and it is a sanity check every year. But the main audit, I drag the guys in on the call with the auditor. So the ops director talked through quite a lot of the sections. So we have the answers that I've put down from the management systems I've created. We'd have the actuals from the ops director on the elements that he's responsible for, and the supporting documentation and traceability to gain the score. I'm going to find the So can you guys see my screen there? You see that, Soph? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you look at the format of the folder, I mean, I've just set up an audit folder, and the sections match the folder system I've got there. So I just sent this as a WeTransfer to DMV 2 or 3 days ahead of the audit. So when he's got this, you can see my answers on section 1.1 QHSE policies. And then within section 1.1, I've done subfolders that match with the actual questions within them sections. So I'm guessing that question 1 was, do you have quality, health, safety, environmental policies signed annually by managing director and within date no longer than 12 months? And there's them documents there. 1.6 supporting document, yeah, health and safety policy. There was a question on the health and safety policy, which is obviously I've put my answer in there, and there's my supporting evidence. And as I'm sure you can all appreciate, it takes a lot of time to set these folders up. But once you've got the template for them, you just populate them each year if you want to have supporting evidence on there. But certainly before the 5-yearly, get all of this information across to the auditor a couple of days before, and it really will fly through on the external. Again, examples of every question there. So for every question you've answered, give the supporting document to DMV, so there's no comments. I mean, doing it this way, I found there was no comments from him. It wasn't asking for further information. He'd done his sort of tick list ahead of the audit anyway, and it went through quite swimmingly. I don't think there's anything else I can say on the folder structure. But Sujit did say afterwards, Sophie, didn't he, that folder structure with the question set tied in makes all the difference to the time frame, and obviously that reduces management time within your own companies, because for us it was done pretty quickly because of that format.
Yeah, and then I think moving forward, it's just a case of dropping your updated documents in that folder structure when you're doing it.
Cancel them out.
Yeah.
I'm probably teaching a lot of you to suck eggs, but I mean, I've gone through it, how I've done it, how I've set it up for our company, and the feedback from DMV was positive. I mean, the benefits of having the external verification for your company, it's another accreditation to stick on your email signatures, and something to brag about, especially if you're working in the IJUBOA, or sorry, in the jack-up barge industry. And the other one for the corporate members, if we've got any corporate members here, Soph?
Yeah, I think Frank's on from Knights Brown, a few others as well.
So for corporate members, I know supplier selection can be a minefield, certainly if it's an area that you're not familiar with or not something you're doing all the time. As a member of IJUBOA, you'll have access to, I don't think you'll have scores, but you'll have access to the track records and levels of member companies, and we've all got our own niches and areas that we're specialise in. And as members of IJUBOA, corporate members of IJUBOA, you'll see the fleets that the member companies have got, and it just helps the selection process because they're known quantities and they're signed up accredited members of IJUBOA.
Ian, I think you've got a question.
Yeah, Mark, it's quite relevant, the statement that you've just made there, and we don't need to rewind back many years where, you know, when Volkswagen and others were looking at bringing jack-up barges into projects such as Thames Tideway, there was quite a challenge on the contractors to actually demonstrate that suppliers were members of IJUBOA, had ISM systems in place for marine plant, had auditable systems in place. You know, so this self-assessment tool, I would see it as a positive.
As you just said there, Ian, it's a big one now. With every project we're doing, we're getting extensive prequals, and within them prequal questionnaires, we need to send reams and reams of documentation, approved supplier lists, and so on. So, and getting suppliers approved is another process in itself, which ties down management time. And yes, this is a lot of work for a company when they first sort of embark on doing the self-assessment and getting the accreditation. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is once it's done, it will benefit you as member companies. It will benefit the corporate members on selection. And I think it is something to brag about, because I think what IJUBOA is doing, and although I'm not a committee member of IJUBOA, what I've seen in the last sort of 5-6 years in the industry, jack-up barge industry, is IJUBOA raising the bar, raising the standards for the industry. And that can only be a positive going forward.
Agreed.
Has anybody got any comments or any questions or anything they want to raise regarding the code of practice, the self-assessment, or the external verification? I think this is the quickest IJUBOA meeting yet.
We're also offering all members, if they want support, just to come to us, because we understand it is a big document and it looks like a big task at hand to do. So if anyone wants support on completing it, we're more than happy to jump on team sessions, or be available just to go through the document, any help with questions. And Mark's been through it, he's probably the best person to advise on that as well.
I'm happy to take emails from people or Teams calls. We've got quite a lot on at the moment, but if you send an email, I will get back to you within sort of 24 hours with an answer, or arrange a call to sort of go beyond that. I mean, go through Sophie or Carly, but I mean, I'm copied in on most of the IJUBOA emails anyway, and I'm more than happy to help and advise.
Aaron, you've got a question?
Yeah, hi there. Good morning, everybody. You mentioned that the auditor would come in and spend 1 to 3 days approximately. The audit itself could happen remotely, or the auditor would need to come to the office?
Yeah, so we done ours during lockdown, and that's exactly what we done. And I don't know how you guys are finding it. I manage all our sort of external audits, ISO audits, and they've all been done 100% remotely. And that's where the folder system comes in, or the folder structure comes in. If you give that to them, the feedback I've had from other auditors as well is the audit was complete before I even logged onto the Teams meeting, because they've got all the information they need. And it's a streamlined way of auditing, rather than usually when an auditor comes in your office, you put your team together that's going to be audited, and that's a waste of half an hour. And then you sort of talking through everything and scrabbling around to find files. You've put the onus on the auditor by sending him all the documents ahead of it to whiz through it all before he comes and has a face-to-face with you. So you've alleviated the hardest part of that desktop audit, if you like.
Okay. No, that's good to know. As you know, we're in Kazakhstan. It's not so easy to
Yeah.
get auditors out here or necessarily familiar with the IJUBOA thing anyway. So
Totally remote, and it works. And the DMV were extremely happy with that format, and they're happy to support the IJUBOA the external verification audit going forward.
yeah. Okay. No, that's good. DNV are not here, so you know it's certainly good we can do it remotely.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Any more? I'll hand you back over to Sophie then.
Yeah, thank you all for coming on today. Hope it's been useful. As I said, yeah, if there are any other questions, just let us know. More than happy to answer them. And yeah, just again, we've initiated this and implemented it all just to raise our aim in raising the nearshore safety bar. So it's just something that we're trying to offer members some more benefit from, really. So yeah, if there are any questions, let us know. Yeah, thank you all for attending.
Sorry, so just one quick one. There's a reference. Sorry, Peter. Again, Veritas Marine. To the IJUBOA managers course. I just wanted to ask: is that something that is actually? How do we find out more about that?
So at the moment we're running our managers courses in London, so we try and hold them every 4 months. So we've got them sort of regularly occurring. We are looking into the possibilities of doing those remote or holding some sort of overseas. But we can keep you updated with dates, or depending on what you're looking for, whether it's a bespoke one for your team, or if you wanted to send some individuals, we can just keep you updated on the dates for those.
Yep, that's great. Thank you for that. Yeah, very useful. Thank you.
No worries. Aaron, is that another question?
No, it's my hand is still up. I don't know how to put it down. I beg your pardon.
No worries.